Hey, Jose, we need another one for your collection, eh? Yeah, I'm gonna go play hockey, eh? Don't do that.
They're not the canned garbage that you listen to. They're real. They're from Canada. It's super cold, so they have to rock super hard to stay warm. I'll take your word for it.
Confined under the psychiatric care.
Now, I think he just pressed one of these buttons here.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Will and Wise, the Dog Show Drive.
Canadian edition.
I'm Will Alexander.
And I'm Y.
Just because, why?
Just because.
Guess what's happening tonight?
Playoffs.
Game 2. By the time everybody hears this, it'll be almost Game 3. But
Right.
Game 2 tonight against the Ottawa Senators, Battle of Ontario.
Yep.
Anyway, This week on the Dog Show Drive, we're going to talk about exhibitors' behaviors. We're losing venues because of exhibitor behavior. And also what came up at Pet Expo, the Champlain Dog Show, emergency judge changes on why they happen. Conflicts of interest. When you see a dog being excused from a best in show lineup, it's usually not because something's wrong with that dog. It's usually some sort of conflict of interest, be it co-ownership or something. And then I'm going to talk about out and about at the Canadian Pet Expo. We're going to have Ian Lynch on and talk about the Canadian Pet Expo, which was a huge success on the weekend. So all that
and more
on this week's edition of Will and Wise, the Dog Show Drive.
Canadian edition.
Hi, Y.
I will. Oh, it's exhausting.
I know it is. I know
Life
it is.
is exhausting.
But we have the Dog Show Drive to look forward to.
We do. And everyone else looks forward to it too.
Exactly. So
it's the highlight of many people's week.
Well, I don't know about that, but.
Well, your mom and my mom.
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Did your mom hear it? Does she wear earbuds or something when she listens to it?
She just nods her head.
You two are idiots.
You two are idiots. That's exactly how she sounds.
So how was your week?
I had I did have a great week. I went to a Assiniboine show in Winnipeg this past weekend.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I had to take Mom for eye surgery first in Winnipeg. So, which went well so far. We won't know if it really worked and for a couple of weeks yet, but, had a great time at the Assiniboine Club. They have it's a really nice. It's a lovely show. It's a great club. Diane Fast runs it. It's just I had to laugh. I didn't say anything while I was there, but every day they actually have a memorial award of past members. And I thought that's not a way to try and drive membership.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's because
you can be on the wall.
You can be on the wall, exactly. So because David Marcus was one of the founding members, Rod Lindy, David's partner, and Layla Castleman as well. So they were all. And then they also had Sonny Tugas. It was one of the Sonny Tugas Awards was for Best Puppy and Show. So it was. It was.
I love Sonny Tugas. He was such a great guy. I remember. I'll tell a quick story. Sorry.
Yep.
I remember right after Westminster, he was judging at Ontario Breeders, I think it was. And Elaine Paquette had gone second in group with her Bouvier. And she always did well under Sonny. Always did well under Sonny. And so she was so excited to show this new dog who had Group 2 in New York to Sonny. But John Glover and I were on to this, and Sonny was one of us. He was just a good guy. We could joke with him, have fun with him. So we know this is about to happen. We know the Bouvier is going to walk in the ring, and Elaine's going to be all like beaming because her dog went group second, and he knows that Sonny probably saw it, and she's so excited. So we asked Sonny if he'd do us a favor, and he said, when you go over the dog, say, "Oh, I'm so disappointed. I wish you had shown me the dog I saw in New York." So we're watching the Breeden Bouviers, and she was the only one. So it wasn't like she was getting in the
wasn't
way of other
losing.
dogs. Yeah, she's the only one. He's going over the dog, and you see him stand up. He looks right at her with this really puzzled look on his face and says something to her. Well, all the color drains from her face. It's almost like she was getting ready to pass out. Glover tried to hold it. He started laughing, so he had to walk away. And then she came out of the ring. She had the ribbon, and she was just like awestruck. And she told us
so
what he
mean.
said. I know. She told us what he said, and yeah, I said, "Well, did you correct him?" She says, "No, I couldn't." I said, "It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure he really knows." And then she found out later what we did, and he gave her the group. He may have even give her best in show. I don't know. But
You're lucky she didn't punch your lights out.
I know. It was so funny though. Just the look on her face when he looked up at her all puzzled, and you could see him saying something to her. I was really looking forward to seeing the dog I saw in New York.
Elaine, devastated, just knocked the wind right out of her.
Yeah. But it was funny. Anyway,
funny.
sorry.
Yeah.
So you're in Assiniboine.
So yeah, so in Assiniboine, so it was a great show. They had their junior zone finals. I guess on Saturday night. So it was and they had a really good entry, a puppy sweepstakes entry that was there. And that was
good.
So it was a really fun show, and they always have lots of Easter chocolate. That's right.
Oh, great. That's a drawing
And I do
card.
have to say, Trina Gallup, a member of the club, she does their lunches. And I'm telling you right now, I go back every year for lunches.
I know. You told me that. You said you got to get an assignment at Assiniboine just for the lunches.
You do. And you're like, you can eat and like, you don't even need to go for dinner because there's so much. She has like in the morning, she has continental type breakfast for you so that if you didn't get a chance to eat at the hotel, like for a judge, you've got something and not just like junk food. She has fruits there, always has a great salad. Oh, it's fantastic. We had like it was almost like stuffed cannelloni, like stuffed shells, pasta. Oh my goodness, it was so good. Ham. We had ham on Sunday.
Yvonne, you know what time of day it is right now.
Okay.
And when we first got online and we're talking before the show started, your associate Carolyn told me how hangry you were. So let's stop talking about food, or else we're both going to be hangry, and the show's not going to go well.
It's true. I apologize. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to have a sip of my water.
Yeah.
And we'll carry on.
Yes. Oh, but that was the other. I remember I was going to tell you the other thing was that we were going to talk about. Touch on again because it was brought up to me at this show. A lot of the members there are also a member of the Heart of the Continent Kennel Club, and their show's at the beginning of September. And they were just informed this weekend because last year they had their show at the same location as the Assiniboine show, which is in St. Norbert. It's at the St. Norbert Arena Community Center there. St. Norbert.
Remember that movie, Norbert?
Norbert, yep. And they were just informed by the groundskeepers that their kennel club, the Heart of the Continent Kennel Club, was no longer.
Sorry, my bird keeps attacking the window.
The bird is still annoying William.
The bird is the word here. Oh, he just flew away.
Yep. So anyhow, they were informed that their kennel club was no longer welcome at that venue. And the reason being was last year. So at the beginning of September, Winnipeg is known for the Bombers. They have a big, the CFL game was going on that weekend. They have a huge farmers market at that location too. So exhibitors know where they can and cannot park. It is laid out clearly. It's in the premium list. They warn you about
which is the Bible.
The Bible of the dog show. It is fully laid out as to what you can and cannot do in regards to parking. Well, and I said I was going to say it. There was these golden retriever people pulled up with their trailer and their truck and parked across the parking lot. They were asked to park where they were supposed to be parked, and then they didn't, and they just moved to another location, and it was still not correct. And so because of that,
No more venue.
no more venue, because they were parked, basically, I think they were parked in where the bus, because it's a drop-off zone so that people can go to the football game. So they can park their cars there, and then they get hauled into the football game by a bus. But and that's it's ridiculous. People, you have to understand
selfish.
how hard it is to get venues and then to keep venues. And then this club was concerned that they might be wrecking it for the other clubs that also use that venue, but apparently the other clubs are fine. But it's just that is so ignorant and so selfish.
Yeah.
And it just
So you
makes me
golden retriever
crazy.
people out there, you better police yourselves so this doesn't happen again. You won't have any dog shows to go to.
Nope.
Not that they were going to single out the golden retriever people, but
No,
in this
but
instance, it was a golden retriever.
I'm sure they know who it was, and that's the whole point. Like, you cannot be that neglectful. And like we've said time and time again, dog shows are held by volunteers, and nobody wants to have confrontation. Nobody. So when someone please asks you to move, please do so, and do so accordingly and according to the rules and the regulations that are set out in the premium list. And that's, and as I said
there's
before,
a reason for the rules.
Yeah.
And you've got to take you have to be cognizant of those reasons and do your job.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for everybody else.
Nope. And so
that's all it is. I remember at the Irish International a few years ago. It was in Colorado. The hotel was a mess. There was dog poop everywhere. There was dog poop and pee in the elevator at one point.
Well, that is just that is so disgusting. I can't even, I don't even have words for that.
It got to the point where they put a garbage bin and paper towel in the elevator.
Like, what is with that?
Like, it was just unforgivable,
Yeah.
Now, after I think somebody policed them because the last day of the event, everything was fine. But I'll tell you, that elevator smelled like pee the whole weekend.
Yeah, exactly. But at what we're all adults here for the most part. Like, why do we have to be policed to keep clean?
To look after what our dogs did.
That's just ridiculous,
It really is ridiculous.
So it's very disheartening. And so, and this is another thing. If you see something, you gotta have to say something now, especially now because we are losing venues, and it's getting harder and harder and harder.
All sorts of public, the way the dog shows are viewed now by some people in the public, they don't want them. They don't want them. They don't want the problem with PETA. They don't want the problem with anything. So they just say no. So
well, it goes to for hotels too, around when you're having a dog show, how many hotels now are not pet friendly, first of all, or I actually don't know of any hotels now that don't have a pet charge. And back 20, 25 years ago, the hotels allowed dogs in it, and there was never a pet charge. You never had a fee to have your pet there. And and usually it's $25 a night, and sometimes it's $25 a night per dog.
Per dog, yeah. And hotels are usually, the pet-friendly ones are usually very good. They have a pet zone where they have a garbage bin and a bag or a box full of poop bags.
Exactly.
And people still don't. You know how many times you see a tied-up bag of poop just tossed towards a garbage can? How hard is it to put it in the gosh darn... Here I am. Gosh darn.
Gosh darn. Because you won't let us swear. Yeah. We just have to, as we get going into this show season, everybody, let's work together and if you see someone that's not picking up, it's not time to throw down your soapbox and get up and berate and belittle someone, kindly suggest that they do their civic duty and pick up their duty, that was a good one.
That was good. My mouth was open.
Yeah, my mouth was open. So, but, let's everybody work together because, like I said, show sites are getting very, very hard to find, never mind, and keep. So let's try and work a little better at that. So, but you had a busy...
positive note...
Yes, you had a busy weekend too.
No, a positive. Prina Farms Event Center is up and running again.
Oh, that's
So,
right.
yeah,
Yes.
PCA is there this week apparently, and I think
Oh,
they had some other show.
I need
So,
to get
yeah,
back to PCA. I haven't been there for a
yeah,
while.
yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah.
Allison was on her way there. I just spoke to her yesterday, and she was on her way
Mm-hmm.
there. She's judging junior handling there. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Oh,
that'll be
that's
fun.
great. Yeah.
But
Perfect.
it's a great show, especially if you have any interest at all in poodles. You need to be there and see it. It's the greatest poodle show on earth.
It is.
So.
And just the amount of artistry, I would like to say, right?
And not just the dogs. I remember one year, I don't know if you were there or not, but at each corner of the ring, they had like a topiary poodle.
I remember that. I do remember
and
that.
all I kept thinking was, thank God it's not the English Center National. Because they wouldn't be going into the corner.
Zone out every time. Stop, drop, and roll. They're coming for us anyway. Yeah, but PCA, yeah, it's
like
a fantastic.
At the Gorham Center National, one of the shows I went to, they had like an archway that you had to go through to get into the ring.
Yes,
and had flowers over it, and it was very, you noticed it right away. Well, every third dog was ducking as they were going. They were fine once they got in, but no.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yep.
Oh
Lord!
For as much as we say sporting dogs are stable.
Yeah, it's things that they're not used to. So
yeah.
They weren't bred to walk under an archway or see a giant flowered poodle in the corner of the ring.
Yeah. So
I always did that when we were at the show, the AKC show at the horse.
Out in Spruce Meadows.
Spruce Meadows, when they had the horse investment show.
Yes.
I always took my dog in there right away. This is not real.
Settle down.
Peter Parker's like, I don't know. Well, it might come to life.
It will not attack.
All these things they throw at us.
Yes.
And what else?
Yeah.
Petawawa this weekend. Friend of the show and my dog show, Mommy Lane Whitney. She fell ill on us one of the days, apparently. I don't know what she did. She said she may have eaten something. She didn't know for sure. But she had an adverse reaction to it, and she could not judge. So they had to, the first day, friend of the show, Linda Torrance, had to judge. Yes. Which brings up a few topics that people express to us about emergency judges. Yeah. And as far as I know, under an emergency situation, almost anybody could judge.
Right.
Especially if there's a radius where they couldn't find a judge in time to get there.
Yeah.
So they asked Linda, and I'm sure there's no doubt she did a great job, but I don't think she was ready for it. She's probably wearing heels and whatnot.
Like I said to you, all I saw on Facebook was her judging Rottweilers, and
heels and hair, and
it made me laugh. But I'm like I said to you, I know she did a good job for sure, but it just made me laugh because we know Lid for Shih Tzus and Dachshunds.
Yeah. I was in contact with Mom a couple of times just to check on her, and she was in a hotel and she was resting. And
that's good. I'm glad she's on the mend.
But she didn't judge the next day either, so I think it really hit her, whatever it was.
Well, it can be scary too because you just don't know, right? And especially when you're not at home,
right?
Things are always a little more edgy.
So I think Thora Brown. Yes, I know Thora Brown came in on the Sunday and judged a lot of the show and Best in Show.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then that's Thora's element. When she judged the Old York, she had so much fun. So I'm sure, barring the circumstances, she still had fun. I'm sure she was worried about her friend Elaine, but she does love judging. So
yeah, for sure. Well, it's funny because when you talk about this emergency situation, and these are like weird rules that come into play, and I forgot to mention also when I was at Assiniboine the very first day. Mr. Mike Langto was supposed to be judging, but he's under the weather as well, and he couldn't make it. So their replacement judge was Corinne Walker. And Corinne Walker, as we know, is the director of this, or the president, isn't she? Yeah.
She's
The chair of the board. Sorry, chair of the board. She's the chairman of the board, and she was doing Best in Show. Well, another board member, Val Bandis from Saskatchewan, she had entered the show. Not, at that time when entries closed, Mike was still coming, but because both Corinne and Val both sit on the board, it is a rule that they cannot, you can't have a board member judging another board member. So I remember on Friday, I was getting texts and everybody was asking, why did the Old English Sheepdog leave? Why did the Old English Sheepdog leave? Well, that's the reason. And it's an ethical. There's a
conflict of interest with the board members, and that's just the way it goes. There's a lot of conflicts. Like oftentimes, I don't know if you remember at Westminster the year the Skipperkey walked out of the Best in Show lineup.
Yep. Same thing.
Because the same thing.
There was a conflict of interest because
there was some co-ownership issues.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
I think the judge co-owned dogs with the co-owners of that dog.
Yes. Yeah. So that's all.
So they excused. She did a lap, and they excused her, and it was just a conflict of interest. And but it happens a lot. But it does leave you wondering. I remember watching a Best in Show in Ohio, and Luke was in Best in Show with the Shih Tzu.
Right, everybody was wondering about that.
Why did the Shih Tzu leave? He wasn't limping. He looked great. Why did he leave? And then we found out later on there was a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
they had sent a dog to that judge, and they co-owned the dog with that judge or something. And
it was something like that. Yeah, it was another co-ownership issue of some sort. Yeah. So, but it was that was just another weird kind of rule that just came out this weekend as well. So
I had to do that once in Best in Show. I had handled dogs to two group wins, and the Best in Show judge was somebody I had shown dogs for. And so I did the lap of honor and excuse. I felt bad because he was down to a 5-dog Best in Show, but you don't know you're going to win the group when you enter.
No,
you always hope you do, but you don't know you're going to win the group. And there's always that chance. If you do, you have to.
So now, and I think because it's not for those that are new to the sport or whatever, it's not that you can never ever show to that person again if you've handled dogs for them or if they've hired you as a handler. It's 4 months. It's 4 months, I believe.
4 months or 6 months. I'm not sure. We'd have to ask.
It's 6 months. If for handling, it's 4 months, or if a member of your family has hired you, of that judge, if that judge's family member has hired you, I believe it's 4 months. I think it's 6 months if the judge has had anything. Don't do that, because then I wonder what's wrong with my face. I think it's 6 months if the judge has any direct contact with a dog or with that handler, as far as handling classes, grooming.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm not even sure about that, Yvonne. I have to double check that. But it has a lot to do with a business exchange too.
Yes. So, yeah. But it does say handling classes and stuff like that too. Yeah. So. Because
I know at one point a dog. Someone had a bunch of dogs at the show, and it was the dogs were all co-owned by a judge, and somebody helped them in the ring, and they were thinking, "Oh, we can't show to you now." But they looked it up, and it was they were helping. They weren't really.
Yeah.
They weren't paid for. They were last minute. Here, hold this, and.
Yep. So
there was no money exchanged. No.
So, but you also had your the Pet Expo this weekend.
Oh, we had the Pet Expo this weekend, the Canadian Pet Expo. The Crossmans put that on. Grant and Yvonne, they're tireless in their work for purebred dogs. They really are. I got to tip my hat off to Grant and Yvonne, because they donated that space for Ian Lynch to do the Meet the Breeds there. And it wasn't just it was a hall. It was like a big spot, and then there was a stage that I think Mars, Royal Canin. Royal Canin. They had a stage there, and Royal Canin had Ian got used to the stage and the microphone to bring these dogs up one at a time with their owners and talk about the dogs. And I was there on the Friday where I had my book there, and It was crazy. We did it. We had to get guards to keep people away from it. It was just unbelievable.
I'm glad you made it home in one piece.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun there. I got to see a lot of people. It was almost like a dog show when you got there because there were all these people from dog shows, and they all had their own setups, and you'd wander around and hey, how are you? Hey, hi.
Hi there.
So it was fun. It was fun.
It's good.
But this is a good spot as any. I talked to Ian Lynch, and I want to get an update of exactly how the whole weekend went since I was only there for the Friday. So I called Ian, and Ian and I got together, and this is what he told us. Hi, everybody, and as promised, I have Ian here again with me. Hi, Ian. How's it going?
Hey, Will. Doing great. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm doing great. Good to see you. You look great after your weekend. Your weekend was a busy week, and I was only there one day, and I was exhausted, and you were there every day.
I was there all 3 days. The Canadian Pet Expo. I hosted a Meet the Breeds event with a bunch of presentations and stuff. I thought that after 3 days I would be exhausted, but I'm like motivated and inspired, and I just wish I could calm down. But I just had such a good time with all the people in the public that I'm so excited. I'm moved. So I'm pumped. But maybe around 4:00 today I'll crash or something. We'll see.
But it was great. Like the turnout was wonderful, and the stage presence, yourself and whoever you had on stage, it was informative to everybody who was watching. So
absolutely. So what happened was Grant Crossman and Yvonne Crossman from the Canadian Pet Expo approached me and asked me if I would do a Meet the Breeds event. And they very generously donated. I thought they were donating a space. They donated a hall to us, right? So which is big money. And I don't know what we did right in a past life to make the Crossmans like us, but they do. And they've been very, very generous to us. So my first thought was, I'll do this only if you promise me that the dogs will be safe, meaning that our dogs from the clubs will be separated from the public's dogs. Because for health reasons, of course, but also behavior reasons, and it stresses out the people and it stresses out, the humans and the dogs. So they assured me they would be. And then so I started planning it, and it worked out really well because we had a security guard on the entrance who knew whether or not the person, due to the badge they were wearing, could come into the breeders' village or not. So we just had people come into the breeders' village, no public dogs. That worked out really well. And then, a Meet the Breeds event for me is great, but you need something else going on simultaneously. So what they did was they gave me the Royal Canin stage, which was amazing. And so I got to do presentations and talk to the breed club members about their breed. And that worked out even better because we had the CPE Breeders Village with the Meet the Breeds happening. So only people could go in there. The public couldn't come in with their dogs. But in the public area, all the breed clubs came on stage and they presented their breeds. So if you wanted to see the breeds, you would see the breeds. If you didn't want to, leave your dog with someone or something like that. So worked out really, really well. I was so impressed with the public, to be honest. It's one of those things that, a lot of times, I was impressed with the club members, to be honest, as well. There's a lot of people in the dog world who talk the talk. We need to do this. We need to do that. These people were walking it. They showed up on Easter weekend. They had great information with them. They brought great dogs with them, and they engaged with the public for 6 hours straight. I mean, some clubs would have 4 people deep asking questions to them, and they responded to all their questions. And I was really, really impressed with the public because they want to know about purebred dogs. They were so interested. They had so many thoughtful questions. They, I think a lot of times they want to learn about our world, but they just can't figure out where to catch us, and so we have to go to where the people are, and thousands of people go to the Pet Expo and events like that, and they got to see us, and they were thrilled. And I was the first moment it starts, 10 a.m. on the first day, my heart's in my throat. I'm like, what's going to happen? 5 minutes later, we're mobbed, by people wanting to see the dogs and talk to the dogs. And it was really also amazing for the breeder members of the clubs because, if you're selling a puppy, you can only get a vibe so much from emails and phone calls. If the person shows, enough initiative to go to the Pet Expo and meet you and your dogs and your fellow club members, you can get way more of an understanding of who that person is. And generally for me, I can tell you in about 30 seconds if someone's going to make a good dog owner or not, the way they speak to me, the way they approach my dog. So yeah, I was very, 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 very touched by the breed club members and the public as well. This is a great opportunity with the Meet the Breeds to have your pet people involved. I think a lot of times there's pet people in clubs who maybe do, a performance sport or have done a performance sport or tried, conformation, but this is a great way to get them involved in the club. So there was a lot of just plain old pet people who are happy to bring their pets and talk about them.
I think it's important to try to get that crossover, because someone that has, let's say, a doodle, they want to see what they can do in the purebred world. They'll get a Bar-Bay or something like that along just similar, but they'll get involved in the purebred world.
Absolutely,
it was amazing. Like when I was driving out, so I left a little bit early. It was still lined up. It was lined up like it was a Maple Leaf hockey game. It was lined up around the corner trying to get in. It was unbelievable. It was a great turnout. So
it is. It's people love their animals and people want to learn more about their animals that they have this special bond with. And an event like the Pet Expo, until you've been there, you can't really understand the magnitude of it. Like,
right.
I was clocking in 25,000 steps a day just in our little area, right? So, and then you walk, of course, to get my walkie-talkie and my security stuff. I have to go all the way to the other side of the Pet Expo. There's thousands of people. It's wild. It's eye-opening to see how many people really, really love their animals. And yeah, so I was, the public went crazy for us, and I was so thrilled. And the breed club members were amazing. They were answering everything. They were, petting their dogs, getting their information out there. It was so exciting, especially in a day and age where, sometimes the louder voice comes across to the public as the correct one, meaning the animal rights people are just louder than us. But this was our chance to speak, and I had a mic and I had a presentation to do, and I was going to make sure our message was clear. And it was wonderful when people asked me about rescue. I was so happy they did. I'm not one to argue with people. You want to ask me about rescue? I said, look over there to the right. There's 40 booths. There's 40 breed clubs. Each and every one of these breed clubs has a rescue department. And if you're interested in adopting or rehoming an adult dog, or if you want to, any of these breeds, if they're ever in need, they've got a rescue department. And we started rescue. So why don't you go talk to them about rescue? And they did. People don't know what goes on. And I got a chance to explain that, these breeders are not in it for profit. These breeders are in it to preserve the breed, and they take health and temperament, and they consider that of utmost importance. And they really want to put aces in their places, meaning putting the right dogs, the right breeds, and the right puppies in the right homes. It was just great to be able to say that to people, and they were listening and they were getting it. There are other breeders at the Canadian Pet Expo who I don't know. But they weren't in our CPE Breeders Village, because I wanted to make sure that everyone in the CPE Breeders Village was someone either I know or a friend of a friend, right? Like I had to know of you if you wanted to come in. The last thing I wanted was to have any responsible breeder in our area. So I kind of really made it my own little guest list. But the nice thing about it too is I got to meet a bunch of new friends, which was awesome. And it was incredible because coming from as someone from the dog show world, it was really nice to have a celebration of dogs that didn't involve ring times or egos or points or ribbons. It was busy, but it was chill in that regard. And it was really nice to see people from other breeds interact with one another. I saw my friend,
for sure.
I saw my friend was like, oh, the Bulldogs in our group, I've never met them. Go over, talk to the Bulldog people. They're saying goodbye. Bye, I'll see you at ringside in group. It was really a nice opportunity for even us to connect with one another in the fancy.
Yeah, no, like I went for a walk a couple times and I was there. And the breeders exhibit had a dog show feel to it. It was just like everybody had their own little setup. They all would talk. We stop and have coffee at their tables and chat and carry on and find out what's next. It was great. It was a really good environment. It was good to see, and it was fun to be there with you guys. What's next? Are we going to keep doing this?
Yes, I'm so excited to say that we have 4 Meet the Breeds events happening this year. The first one happened over Easter, like we just talked about. The next one is in Port Credit. It's an outdoor Meet the Breeds. It's at the All About Pet Show, and that's going to be June 14th and 15th. followed by, we're back at the International Center September 13th and 14th, as well as, of course, for the Christmas Canadian Pet Expo, and that's going to be the 22nd and the 23rd, and that's going to be kind of at the same time as the big, huge Aurora and District Kennel Club dog show. So if you are a part of a breed club, definitely save those dates: June 14th, 15th, September 13th, 14th, and then November 22nd and 23rd. And reach out to your people. And especially, as we kind of go, as Allison always called it, double jeopardy starts in September for dog shows. So, if you know that you can't be there, you can definitely get your pet people to be there. And I'm just super excited for it to all happen. It's incredible.
Is there a website they can reach out to and check these dates?
Sure. Yeah. Canadian Pet Expo .ca. Let's find out. And then, of course, if you want to go to, if you're a member of the For the Love of Purebred Dogs, Canadian Pet Expo. CanadianPetExpo.ca. Sorry about that. Okay. So I generally make my calls for clubs on the For the Love of Purebred Dogs Facebook page. So if you are involved in the purebred dog world in Canada, you're probably a part of that page. And that's kind of how I make sure I get the best off that page. And if you're not, you can email me, ianglinch@gmail.com, although I might get a new email address for these events because my Gmail almost shut down from too many emails for the last one. But
sure.
But yeah, I'll be posting as they come up probably in the next week or so. I'll start planning the June one, and then in the summer we'll start planning September, and then after September we'll start planning November.
Excellent. Oh, great. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate you giving us this time, and I look forward to the next event. Hopefully I can make it as well. So
can't wait. It was wonderful to have you there and to have you on stage with your books and your beagles and your wealth of knowledge. We were lucky to have you.
Oh, thanks, Ian. All right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Well, thank you, Ian. That was great. It was a great update, and it's a great event. I'm looking forward to the 3 other events, and I hope it goes on forever because our purebred dogs need those kind of events to bring them to the forefront in the public.
Bring us to the forefront again. Yeah, for sure. And that was awesome.
The interest from the public about purebred dogs was very refreshing. So
that's good. Well, I am looking forward to Aurora.
Yes.
I am looking
you're
forward.
Going to come to Aurora this time because we're
apparently
hoping to do a dog show drive live there. We'll podcast from Aurora.
Are you ready, Aurora?
Are you ready, Aurora? Put your hands together. Anyway, legends in our own minds. You two are idiots. We should too bad we don't have a recording of your mother going, "You're idiots." I can just have that
every once in a while.
Okay, carry on, Yvonne. You're up.
All right. So across Canada, driven by Show Scene magazine. Show Scene, where every dog takes center stage. Does it? All right. There is a lot to get through, so buckle up, folks, because we are getting into full swing dog show mode. So we have the Renaissance show. Oh, that was this past weekend, and that was a really large show. And
not as large as Megan made it on the Thursday, but
yeah, I just saw that. I was like,
really? It had a huge drop off on the Friday.
So on Thursday, the best in show judge was Jesus Andres from Villalobos, Diaz, Mexico. And they had 385 dogs, I'm going to say, on the Thursday.
Not 3,859, because if they did, that was a great weekend, but it dropped off. They all came to see Mr. Andres.
So then on Friday, the best in show judge was Ada Rivera Franco from Colombia. 464 dogs. And then Saturday's best in show.
You got to stop doing that. You got to stop.
I can't help it. It's just like you should have asked everyone. You should ask everyone about the shukuku. That's how I say that. I breed a dog. Shukuku. Anyway, hey, Saturday. Can you let me get through this? This is a lot.
Yes, go ahead.
So Saturday's best in show judge Juan Alberto Grillo. Megan shouldn't put all the words all their name in there then. Also from Colombia, 502 dogs. So that's a nice size show there.
It's a nice
and
size
then
show. Not as big as Thursday, but it's a
not
nice
as big
show.
as Thursday. And then Sunday's Best in Show judge was Judith Brown from Texas. And she had 434 dogs. The other judges on assignment there were Beverly Anderson from Arizona, Gary Anderson from Arizona as well, Gloria Kerr, Arizona, everybody from Arizona, and Desmond Murphy, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Desi Murphy.
From New York. The prior year's entries, they were down slightly, it seems, this year. So previous year's entries were 441 for the Thursday, 511 for the Friday, 518 for the Saturday, and 464 for the Sunday. Just down a bit, not a lot.
Yeah.
So that was out in Renaissance Dog Show out in BC. Then we'll come all the way east to the Champlain Dog Show. Dog Club, same this weekend, and that was 6 shows, so 2 shows a day. Friday's Best in Show judges were both Mike and Sandy Jelena from Ontario, and Sandy had 184 and Mike had 182 dogs.
So 2 of those people wanted to show to Sandy and didn't want to show to
Mike. Maybe you should take note of that, Mr. Jelena.
Because they were on their way home today, and they were supposed to stop in and see me, but they got caught up, and timing didn't work. So because they're longtime friends of Mike and Sandy, so I was looking forward to seeing them. I even shaved, but it didn't work.
Wasted. You shaved for nothing.
Wasted shave.
Yep. So Saturday, Best in Show number 3, judged by Wendy Shira from Ontario. She had 180 dogs, and the 4th show on Saturday was judged by Dr. Lucy Paradis from Quebec with 177 dogs. Sunday's Best in Show was judged by Mr. Robert Whitney, friend of the show, 174 dogs. And then, as we know, the last show was judged by Ms. Thora Brown, also from Ontario, with 153 dogs. Other judges on assignment there were Linda Torrance, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
And Murray Clark.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show also. So the entries there about the same, pretty much the same as the prior year, up maybe just a touch. 179, 181, 184, 177, 73, and 158. So that's pretty good. And then Assiniboine Kennel Club, where I was, Friday they had 2 shows. The first show judged by Corinne Walker from Manitoba, had 184 dogs. Friday, the second show was judged by Patricia Langto from Ontario, and she had 181 dogs. Saturday's Best in Show judge was Patrick Mudge, friend of the show, from New Brunswick, with 195 dogs.
He celebrated a birthday that weekend.
Yes, he did. It's on. I think it got caught on video.
Oh,
and
good.
Thankfully, Diane had me tape it on her phone. And someone tells me to sing happy birthday. What do I do, Will?
You sing happy birthday.
I sing happy birthday. And she said all you could hear was me singing on her video.
Of course.
Of course. And then Sunday's Best in Show.
Tomorrow, I'll love you tomorrow.
You're only a day away. Anyhow, Pam Bruce did the last Best in Show on Sunday, and from Ontario, and she had 187 dogs. Other judges that were on assignment were Delvinia Bolak from BC and Betty Pierce from Alberta. And so the entries were, the previous year, they were higher. And I actually talked to Diane about that. I said, well, why do you figure, they're not down a lot. But so
was it the ring, Stuart?
It could have been. I didn't even know that wasn't published that I was there. But the other problem was their show actually floats because it's always the Easter weekend. So depending on where Easter is, they aren't always like the third weekend in April or whatever. So it just by chance, it just was the same weekend as Renaissance. So often they draw from Alberta, but Alberta, most of them went to Renaissance.
Right.
So that's why the entries were a bit down this year. But like Diane said, it'll come back next year for sure. So then we have our upcoming shows brought to you by Canuck Dogs, your source for Canadian canine event information online.
I've got to do a very dog thing. I'm going to let you carry on, though. But my dogs are asking to go outside. So you carry on, and I'll be right back. Can you handle it?
I'm sure I can. All right. So coming across Canada, Tantramar Kennel Club, May 17th through the 18th in Upper Brookside, Nova Scotia. 4 all-breed shows. The show secretary is Nancy Downing. And the closing for that is coming up quick next Wednesday, April 30th. April 30th. And then we have the KW Kennel Club, the Kitchener-Waterloo Kennel Club, May 17th through the 19th in Kitchener, Ontario. 3 all-breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 1, 3, 7, 3 rally obedience trials, and some specialties here. We have the National for the Black Russian Terrier Club of Canada. We have 2 regional specialty shows for Bulldog Club of Ontario. There's Juniors Confirmation Zone 6 finals. Boosters for the following breeds: the Black Russian Terrier on Saturday, Bulldogs on Saturday and Sunday, French Bulldogs on Sunday, and they also have a bred by exhibitor competition Sunday. This is only open to dogs entered in the bred by exhibitor class. There is no additional charge for this competition. And the show secretary there is friend of the show, MJN Show Services. And this one's also closing next week, Wednesday, April 30th. Then we have the Regina Kennel and Obedience Club, May 17th through the 18th in Regina, Saskatchewan. 4 all-breed shows and 2 rally obedience trials. Show secretary for that show is C&D Show Services. Closing date for that is Tuesday next week, Tuesday, April 29th. And following that, Old Lang Syne Dog Association, May 22nd to the 25th in Chilliwack, BC. 4 all-breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 1, 2, 6, and 7. And there's the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Club of BC Regional Specialty Show, Shiba Inu Club of Canada. They have a regional specialty show, and the show secretary for that is BC Dog Show Services. And they did not have, Megan couldn't find the closing date for that, but I would suspect it's probably coming up soon as well. Next, we have Fort Garry Kennel Club in Oakbank, Manitoba, May 23rd and to the 25th. 5 all-breed shows, 2 obedience trials, 3 rally obedience trials, booster for Labrador Retrievers on the Saturday. Then the show secretary for that is Linda Scott, and the closing date for that is this Friday, April the 25th. April the 25th for anybody in the Winnipeg and like areas. They also have the Border Terrier Canada National. Oh, that's May, yeah. Oh, that's May 23rd in Sunderland, Ontario, and it's outdoors, and it's a national specialty show for Border Terriers. They have junior handling, and it's a Crufts qualifier. Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there's also a regional specialty the next day on the 24th, and the show secretary is MJN Show Services, and the closing date for that is May the 7th. Then we're going on to the Ottawa Kennel Club, May 23rd to the 25th in Richmond, Ontario. There's 3 all-breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 1, 3, and 7, 3 obedience trials, 3 rally obedience trials, and they've got a bunch of specialties going on here too. The Alaska Malamute Club of Canada is having a regional show. The Collie Club of Canada, also a regional show for both rough and smooth collies. Field Spaniel Society of Canada, they're having a national. That'll be exciting. German Short Hair Pointer Club of Canada having a regional. Also the Brussels Griffon Club of Canada having a regional. Ottawa Valley Poodle Club, a specialty show for poodles. There'll be canine good neighbor testing. And there will be an obedience sanction match held by the Field Spaniel Society of Canada, and an all-breed obedience match. They have 3 CKC scent detection trials as well. There's just so much going on there. The junior handling zone finals will be there. They've got a whole whack of boosters as well. And note, there are no classes for border terriers and conformation at this show, probably due to the fact that they have a national going on.
National special, yeah.
Yeah. And the show secretary for this show is Diana Edwards, Show Services, and that's closing on May the 6th, Tuesday, May the 6th. And then out in St. John's, Newfoundland, the Avalon Kennel Club on the May 24th, 25th weekend, they have 4 all-breed shows. Show secretary is Yvonne Drover. Closing date, May 14th. And then Society Canin de Thetford. They're also May 24th, 25th in Thetford Mines, Quebec. 4 all-breed shows, 4 obedience trials, 4 rally obedience trials. Show secretary is Pascal Pontes. And Wednesday, May 7th is the closing. And then we're going off to the Moncton Kennel Club, May 24th to the 25th in Moncton, New Brunswick. 4 all-breed shows, 4 rally obedience, and 4 obedience trials. They have a booster for mini bull terriers on Saturday. Show secretary is Nancy Downing. And the closing date for that is Wednesday, May the 7th. And then finally, we're good to NACA, Northern Alberta Canine Association. This is a big show. This is a great show to go to. Yeah. It is a wonderful show. May 30th to the June 2nd. And it is outdoors.
June 2nd.
Yes, June 2nd. 4 all-breed shows, limited breed shows for groups 4 and 6, 3 obedience trials, 3 rally obedience trials, and scent hurdling. I haven't seen scent hurdling in a long time, and I used to love it as a kid. Just a whack of specialty shows. You have specialty shows for Bouviers, boxers, the Alberta Lure Coursing Association, which is a specialty show for sighthounds, Beagle Club of Canada National is there. And they're also having a regional specialty, the Beagle Club of Western Canada. The Bouvier de Flandre Club of Canada is having a national and the regional there. Boxer Club of Canada National is there. Bulldog Club of Canada is having a regional there. Bull Mastiff Fanciers of Canada, regional specialty. Canadian Mastiff Club, regional. Labrador Retriever Club of Alberta, they're having 2 specialty shows. Pomeranian Club of Canada, they're having their national. Shetland Sheepdog Fanciers Club of Edmonton is having a specialty show. Tibetan Terrier Club of Canada is having their national. Toy Dog Club of Alberta, toy specialty. And then the show secretary for that is Aaron Verway, VGI Show Services. And the closing date for that is Monday, May 5th. So it does close kind of early because of so many specialties. That's a lot to get organized.
That's a lot of specialties. Holy
that
jumps.
is a lot of nationals. That's exciting, though. I love going to those kind of shows. I like
the depth of those kind of shows. It's just fun to just pull up a chair and watch. So.
Exactly, and that show, the show site they have is beautiful, and it's a great show. One of the members is Kathy Hawker, Maldon English Setters, friend of the show. Yeah. She's a nice lady. Kent Kennel Club, May 30th to June 1st in Blenheim, Ontario. 6 all-breed shows and boosters for boxers and German Shorthairs. Show secretaries MJN Show Services. That closes on May 14th. And just a reminder for closings that are coming up really quick, Nipissing, that closes on April 20th. That's a Diana Edwards Show Services. Regina Kennel and Obedience Club, they close on April 29th, which is next Tuesday. C&D Show Services, and Kelowna closes next Wednesday, April 30th. And that's a classic show service. And Hochelaga closes Wednesday, April 30th. And that's also a Diana Edwards show. So just to remind you, those are coming up real quick.
So that was across Canada, and that was brought to us by who? Show Scene.
Show Scene. No, it wasn't. It's by Canuck Dogs. Yes. That's by Canuck Dogs. Wasn't it? I don't know. Something like that.
We have to take this part out, Doc. We're trying to do a opening and a closing. So
is it
what time? At 40:25. Yeah, you're right. Canuck Dogs. Do a closing though.
Okay. That's a Canuck Dog one? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's everything. And that was brought to you by Canuck Dogs for Canine event information online. I didn't have it in front of me. I had to do that by memory. That's pretty good.
We'll get better at it. We promise. We'll be better
Promise.
next week.
Yeah. If it's written down, I can read it.
Yeah,
I'm just like what's his name on Anchorman?
Yeah.
So let's get to this week's topic.
This week's topic brought to us by Canadian Dog Fancier, a weekly summary of purebred dog events across North America. Yeah. So, cause and opinions from our Facebook page. Last week, we asked the question, would the presence of a CKC field staff at Canadian dog shows, similar to the AKC field representatives, provide added value and oversight to our events? Now, last week, we had Patricia Proctor on to talk about the roles of the field representatives, and it was very informative. And I think that really helped a lot of people with their answers. So
yes. So maybe just give a brief little what she did say for anybody who didn't catch last week's episode.
You're putting me on the spot now, aren't you?
Well, you do it to me all the time. So I just thought I'd volley it back to you.
Basically, Patricia is there to help. The field reps are there to help the show club put on a good show. They're not police. They're not policing, but they do go by the premium list, which, as Patty told us, is the Bible to that show. So if there's any rules in the premium list, they are rules for the dog show. Now that there also are CKC rules that the representative, the CKC rep, the field rep in America, they will overlook them, and they will oversee them. And if there are any complaints coming, they will also help set up a bench show committee if need be. So there's a lot of roles that the AKC rep has to do. And in America, they also watch judges and they do evaluations on judges and how their performance are, and if they're ready to move on or if they can answer certain questions. So that's the roles they have in American dog shows. And our question was, do we feel that Canadian dog shows would benefit from such a role?
Yeah. Could we use that here? And would that work? Yeah. Very good.
So we had a bunch of answers. Go ahead, Yvonne. You can answer. We can do Noreen.
So Noreen Lorenz, friend of the show, she said, I think it's a great idea, but would CKC pay their field reps like the AKC does? CKC have confirmation reps now listed in premium lists along with the zone reps. So would we not go to them? I enjoy these podcasts and great questions. Keep up the great work, Will Y and others behind the scenes, Dr. Ernie and Megan. Thank you, Noreen.
Yeah, Noreen for the show.
Yes,
that's true. We do have confirmation reps, and we have our directors that are at the shows, and they do supply a lot of that information. I don't know how far they can go with it, because I believe the show chairman actually has the final say. But they do have that role. I don't think they have as much in depth as the AKC field reps do. So
yeah.
Like, I know I was a confirmation rep, and I wasn't really allowed to do a lot. People would ask you, this is happening in ring. You could advise, but it wasn't a lot of. It's not like you didn't have the power to do it. You just don't have the backup to do it. So
okay, all right.
And Sarah Petrie, she wrote, yes, issues at shows can be witnessed and dealt with in real time.
And I think that's kind of what this whole. Why we would like it, because for something to go to discipline can take literally months.
All that, right? And let's face it, a lot of times our rules up here where you have to put money down to put a complaint in, that's it. Deterrents aren't a bad thing, but if the complaints are frivolous, but if they're not frivolous and someone doesn't want to spend the $250, then it gets sort of thrown under the rug. So
yeah, exactly. Josephine Lambert, she says this would be a great add-on to the shows, especially if the field staff had some authority to demonstrate on site if necessary, which is exactly what we've been like what you were saying. Because as a confirmation rep, you really didn't have any real power to do anything, and power may not be the right term, but authority. Yeah.
Because the field reps in America are basically representing the CKC. with matters of their rules. And so Patty told the story about if they were at a show where it was known to have some craziness, shall we say, that she would just have all her reps carry around a misconduct book, so they all saw that the reps had the misconduct books in front of them, so they could flip the pages right away and address issues.
Just right here.
Dr. Doug McIntyre said, "I've said this for years and years. Yes, it absolutely would providing they are given the power to act accordingly. P.S. The exclamation points are instead of swearing."
There was a lot of exclamation points. Thank you, Doug.
Dr. McIntyre.
Yep. And then friend of the show, Bonnie Nelson, she said, absolutely. Absolutely.
Same with Mark Relsky, who is a director. He's a CKC director.
Yep.
And he thinks it's an excellent idea as well. I was hoping to have Mark on the show today. He had some timing restraints, so he couldn't do it. But maybe next week we'll have somebody on the CKC that can answer some of these questions for us.
Mm-hmm.
Jim McGriskin, he said, "Yes, I've been saying this for years." And if you think back, there has been an ongoing want of the membership. So
there has been. And
I don't think they want police, but they want some authority.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a security there, right? Like if something is going to, that can be dealt with, and I think
it's almost a deterrent too from people going rogue.
Exactly.
Not
that we've known anybody to go rogue, but Richard Burkett, friend of the show and former CKC director. Richard says, yes, it would help. Having served the CKC board for several decades, this concept has been explored and has always proved cost prohibitive. The current financial situation at the CKC is very tight. We will probably experience a 30% decline in registration revenue in 2025. This is not a problem. This is not a problem of breeders. Combination of very slow puppy sales, the economy, and of finding affordable and available veterinary care are causing many breeders to hold back on litters. I urge breeders to continue with their responsible breeding programs and have some litters. The market is still there. The problem is we do not promote ourselves and purebred dogs enough.
And that's true.
It's just an excellent answer, and it's very true. I think that's something we could probably talk about in another episode is veterinary care in this country too, right?
True enough. But then we have the likes of Corinne and Yvonne Grant and Yvonne Crossman, who they're trying to do something, trying to promote purebred dogs through their Canadian Pet Expo. So Cheryl Egerton, she wrote, "I don't often reply, but this time as a senior judge and having been worldwide, I believe the system needs to change. We need reps that are paid. We need reps instead of observers. We need reputable reps, not newbies. Emeritus judges would be excellent candidates. Our system is falling to R&R permitting new breed exams on rare dogs, and the list goes on and on. I know my reply will go unneeded, but just look at our system as it stands today. An old boys club, a media-driven system, and a repeat of the same faces doing and serving on club committees, which never opens the doors with new people." That is a lot.
And she makes some really valid points, though, too.
She sure did, yes.
And I've often said, I'm a member of one all-breed club, but it's very hard to be a member of an all-breed club. And I mean, I grew up in this sport, and I mean, I can tell you about a lot of times people sit there and talk about the old guard and they just won't let go. And it deters the younger people from joining. And a lot of these clubs that we look at now, you look at who's running them, and it's like a 55 plus club. And you've got to bring in the new blood, and you've got to be a little more accepting and a little more, And I know both sides of the story, how the young ones don't want to listen at all, but sometimes the older ones don't too. And I'm no better than the last person as far as this goes too. But we do need to we do need a change in our manner of thinking, and to generate more vitality within our sport.
Well, let's face it, a lot of the events that happen at dog shows that are not acceptable get overlooked, and people that are new, they don't want to have their families there watching these things. But it's supposed to be a family sport.
Yeah.
And some of the issues that go on, and usually it's just silly bickering over electric or over spots or over something silly that's frivolous. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I'm sorry, yes. And they don't want to subject their family to those things.
No.
So if there was someone there that made sure those things were looked after right away and frivolous complaints weren't, they were deemed frivolous and then washed away.
What's that expression? Nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud, yes.
Nip it in the bud.
Yeah, I think that those are all valid answers, and I think it's an overwhelming positive response saying people want these things.
Yes. I mean, nothing
can ever happen.
Well, I mean, nothing's ever easy to implement at the start, and there's a lot of because everyone says it should be a paid position. It's got to be a paid position, and maybe
it's a lot of work. So
it is a lot of work, but maybe there's a way we can maybe work around it too. So let's.
Well, there was a answer from, I think it was Joanne Pavey. I wish we had it on here, because it was a reply to Richard's answer, and she said that maybe they could do some cuts at the main office to help with this new venture. And it's not like we have to have one at every show. She said like having maybe 5 reps for the whole country and have them rotate around shows.
Yeah, exactly. Or, even like as directors, even have, one for every zone or something.
Right.
If depending on, because I mean, like seriously, up in our area, we don't have as many shows as you have in yours. So, they could service more than one area.
The system we have now, with the directors and the confirmation reps, et cetera, that's great. And people volunteer their time and they do those things. But some of them, I find that you might not get the extra mile from them because they are a volunteer.
Yeah.
If you go to a AKC dog show, the field reps have a desk and there's always somebody there.
Yeah.
And if you need something and they're off, you can they like Patty said last week, their phone numbers are available to everybody. Their cell phone numbers are available in the premium list anywhere, and you can call your rep on site if there's an issue and get somebody over to you. So you can't really do that at Canadian dog shows. I think it's nice having the presence of the CKC through the directors or the confirmation reps. But I remember when I was a youngster that there was often a desk at the dog shows that was a CKC desk. And it was almost a welcoming desk to the exhibitors, and there was a lot of information flyers and whatnot on that desk to answer questions to new exhibitors.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think, even that at a dog show, having an information type desk for those people that are just coming in to see, a dog show, and they have no idea what it's all about. And even though I know a lot of dog shows don't have a gate like we used to at some shows, but
why is that? Is it because purebred dogs aren't as welcomed anymore, or is it become too elitist for some families to come and watch? I don't know.
It is. It's a wonder, because I know, like, for our, I can only speak of my show in August, but we advertise because we're at one of our venues. The venue that we're at is a big park, and so we encourage people to come and check it out. We try to have other things happening there other than just showing dogs. We try to get an agility demonstration and stuff like that going on, but we try to advertise to get the public to come out, right? So, and there's no charge, but it seems to work well that way. And I know it's difficult, and sometimes it's not always. I think we got to a point at some time where, we just wanted to be kind of elitist, and we didn't want the public there because they were, always a pain, right? But
Yeah, I
with
agree.
that being said, what did we shoot ourselves in the foot, so to speak?
We most definitely did, and I think events like Meet the Breeds, which are easily set up at dog shows at lunch break. You go around and ask certain people, "Could you bring your dog in the center ring for spectators to come and meet your Newfoundland or meet your Labrador, just so they get to see what dog shows are all about."
Yeah. And I remember, even I had at our show, we had it was like a kids camp, like a day camp, and they came, and there was about like 25 kids. They all came, and I saw, and they hadn't told us that they were coming, but I saw them coming. So I'm the social media person at our show, even though I can't do it for our podcast, but I went over. And I kind of sat there and I explained to the kids what was going on and what breeds that they were going to be seeing soon. And it was fantastic. And I hope they come back this year too. And it was a really good experience for all of them. So
I was once at a dog show, the Muskoka Dog Show, and I was being followed around by a pack of kids. I want to say like 15, 20 kids. I was being followed around. They were watching everything I was doing. I thought, wow, these kids they're really interested. So I stopped and asked them, how did they find out about it? Well, we didn't. The one spokesman for all the kids, they didn't realize that I showed dogs in the summer. Well, they thought I was Curtis Joseph. You know why they thought I was Curtis Joseph? Because I had a goatee and I had dark hair back then. And John Griffith told them I was Curtis Joseph. So I had 20 kids follow me around the dog show because they wanted to watch Curtis Joseph show dogs. Thank you, Johnny G.
Yeah, way to go, Johnny G.
He used to do that to me all the time.
Oh, that's funny.
It is funny. He was a funny guy. So, anyway, I think we've reached our time.
I think so. Do we have a question for next week?
Yes, we do. I can't seem to find it though, and that's what I was doing. I was texting Megan while we were talking to see if she could. It was so funny
because I was sitting here going, I can't see the next question on.
But we did come up with a question of the week. I just can't remember what it was.
See, and you.
I don't just make them up like you do and say, "Oh, we had this question." This was an actual question that we had.
I don't remember. I can't remember what we said either.
I know, because that was yesterday.
Well, I'm telling you, folks, if Will and I have a conversation and we expect each other to do something, we have to write it down, or it does not get done. It just does not get done.
I sent you a text yesterday. Could you please send me whatever? And then an hour later, you said, yeah. An hour later, it still wasn't there. I said, don't forget. And then it came right away.
That was funny.
Good thing we have Megan and Doc. Let me tell you.
For sure.
Although I can't seem to get a hold of Megan. I don't know what she's doing. Probably something,
I don't know, probably cooking dinner for her 3 children. I totally can't remember.
Priorities, Megan. Priorities.
You're docking your pay. What was it?
Anyway, we do have a question of the week, and it will be on the Facebook page. Probably today is Tuesday, so probably either a Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning, she'll probably put it up because we can't, because both of us need to take ginkgo biloba.
I can't. I always forget to take it.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, take us out of here, Yvonne, before we dig our hole too deep.
It's already suffocating. Anyway, for all those who are driving to a show this weekend, drive safely, take care, seatbelts on, glasses on. Till next week.
Later, everyone. Clark, stop scratching.
You never know who might come out. Okay, I can't find that thing you want me to find.
You press that and more comes up.
Yeah, there's no crying in dog shows.
You're not getting anything good here, Doc.